How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the new Bartesian Duet Home Cocktail Maker. The new Bartesian Duet, Bartesian's most compact cocktail maker, crafts premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Duet Cocktail Maker. And now, get our best deal ever on the new Bartesian Duet, plus free shipping when you go to bartesian.com/cocktail. Entertaining? The Bartesian Duet is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. And now, get our best deal ever on the new Bartesian Duet, plus free shipping when you go to bartesian.com/cocktail. Hurry, offer ends soon. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail. Bartesian.com/cocktail.
Why do you wear those white coats?
Why do you listen to my heart?
Why do you get here so early? Why are you working on your birthday?
Why are you building a new hospital?
Why do you have all these machines?
Why do you have toys in your office?
Why do you care?
Why?
At Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, we have the same answer for every why, because nothing matters more than kids. Give today at choa.org/donate.
Steering wheel. Lots of steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
You like my bass? You like it?
How the f*** is this possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? From the radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now come on, close it down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger Straight.
I am so annoyed.
It's a preview, Grace.
Oh, I can't wait.
Hello, welcome back to the Parc Fermé for podcast number 718. What I'm calling F1's haircut. I'll get into why I'm calling it the F1 haircut. Welcome back, my friends. Gosh, it's been, a whole week since we talked last time. But this time we're coming back together and doing the same exact thing. We're going to share some news with you. That's exactly what we're going to do. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
Uh-oh. AKA Negative Camper. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
Exactly what I need. So tonight, we are going to cover some news, but before covering that news, I have to introduce my co-host, which of course means... That's right, I gotta go all the way to the right coast of America, nestled in our nation's capital, where she plies her skills as a master statistician. You know her, you love her, it's the lovely, the redoubtable
Grace!
Grace, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Todd. How are you doing?
Good. I'm a little button happy tonight. You know, I'm kind of excited with my soundboard.
I can't believe that it's Groundhog's Day and it's not don't drive angry. I feel like that was going to be the hashtag for tonight.
Oh, that's a much better hashtag. I like Don't Drive Angry.
It's your show, right? We still have time.
We could change that. I was going to go hashtag F1 haircut, but I do like Don't Drive Angry. I'll accept both answers.
Why limit ourselves, right?
Yeah. Let's not limit ourselves. You know, let's not box ourselves in.
That's right.
Let's not do that.
I've totally co-opted the hashtag kitten blessed because of Lewis. So, it's fine.
Blessed. I like it. Oh, that's good. That's good. Have you had a good week?
Yeah, we got our first snow in like 2 years. So that was something.
I heard it was dumping up in the Northeast there.
Not my part of the Northeast, the actual Northeast. Here in DC, we got like 2 inches, but that's still a lot of snow considering we don't really, because we're always on that like snow rain line. Whereas
we are too.
You're right. So, they're always like, well, it could be 2 inches or it could be 10 inches depending on when it rains. Right.
Right.
So we got more closer to like 2 to 3 as opposed to like 6 to 8. But New York City, Massachusetts, Connecticut, they're getting hammered.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Because there'll be all snow.
Yes. Yeah. Which always begs the question, do you wait until it's completely done snowing to go shovel? Or if you know it's going to snow like crazy, do you do an initial shovel so you aren't killing yourself, knowing that if you shovel off the first thing, and then it starts to sleet and you get ice.
See, that's it. That's the key. When is it going to ice? I was going to say, how you make that decision is not how much snow you're going to get, is when the ice is coming. Because if you're going to get ice, you don't want to take all the snow off the sidewalk, because then it becomes a sheet of ice.
Yes.
So if it's going to be all snow, like if you live in Boston, it's going to be all snow, then yeah, you go out periodically, because you're going to kill yourself trying to shovel 12, feet of snow, right? But if at some point, like in DC, it's going to turn to rain, that's going to freeze because it's below freezing, and it'll be ice. Yeah, you want to leave some snow out there. So
right.
That was the argument I used for not shoveling yesterday, was that we weren't going to get a lot of snow, but we're probably going to get some ice, and I was trying to actually save people.
Right. So there you go. So a little snow management discussion for all of our listeners in Jamaica, the U.S. Virgin Islands, or Hawaii.
It just makes it harder. Yeah, because snow on pavement ice on pavement is terrible. You need snow. You need a little snow for traction.
Yeah, then if it ices on the snow, then it's easy to throw off. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It just crunches. It's fine.
So there you go. There's our public service announcement for all those that are enduring snow. Don't do it. If it's going to ice, wait. All right. Patience.
Yeah, do people put their windshield wipers up too where you live?
Yeah, around here they do. I don't, but.
Oh, well, so coming from Pennsylvania, right, we don't do that because it's all snow, right?
Right.
So I just remember the first time I was like, what is this? But it's because the rubber on your windshield wipers don't freeze through your windscreen, right?
Exactly, which it does.
So I was just like, what the hell? Like, I had never seen such a thing until I moved down here. But it makes sense, right? Because it is really annoying, because you will just get like an inch of ice on your windscreen. And
well, those sun visors that they put on the inside on the windshield. In the winter here, they go, when it's going to start snowing, they just go and put it on the outside with the wipers on top of it, and then that way, if it ices or whatever, they can just
like a tarp.
Yeah, basically over the windshield. Yeah,
and that's kind of genius.
There you go. That's how we roll in the Midwest, where us knuckle draggers live.
Well, that seems like a very non-knuckle dragger piece of information right there. Like, you just grab a blue tarp, put it in, wrap it around your car, shut the doors on it, you're good.
Good.
That's genius.
There you go.
All right.
Oh boy, should we talk about F1? Let's talk about F1, shall we?
Why? It's the off season. We'll get
Thanks for joining us at the Weather Channel for this new podcast.
This is valuable information for people.
This is critical information. It could save someone's life sometime.
We're informative. We just never said it was going to be always Formula One informative. Informative about a lot of topics here.
Right. Oh boy, we were going to talk about it. Let's talk about F1. So F1 last week finally announced that they were getting away from that 10 after the hour start time.
What are they, baseball?
I don't know. So they were going to do away with that. They're going to start the races at the top of the hour, but that isn't what caught my attention. Okay. What actually caught my attention was that they announced that the race times would be at the top of the hour, instead of the 10 after affair that they did. They also announced that we would be, as fans, losing a full hour of action as they trimmed both FP1 and FP2 by a half an hour each. Both sessions used to be an hour and a half. Now both sessions will be an hour each. That means we're losing a full hour of Formula One period on Friday practice sessions. Now, I understand many of you messaged me, and I completely understand what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with it. That whole notion that the condensed practice leads to potentially better racing due to less time to perfect their setups. And also people said, hey, Todd, there's a good portion of this practice the cars aren't on track, and you're not seeing. I understand those 2 points. I'm not disagreeing with you at all about those 2 points, but what I probably didn't do well in my story that I wrote about this on the website was that's not why I enjoy it, and it's not why I'm watching, because cars are on track for an hour and a half solid. The reason I enjoy that hour and a half for each session is because here in the States, we don't get Sky Sports F1 channel where we could get nonstop 5 hours of Formula One coverage to steep us in F1 over the weekend. All we have is those practice sessions. And that means there's a full hour of commentary, features, insights that the Sky team does, that they engage teams on. They do some interviews. They unpack the sport. They share comments that teams have made to them, all during those Friday practice sessions. Now, you could argue, well, they'll just say it later on. And I don't know. There was a casualness to an hour and a half dialogue that team would have that I enjoyed, a little camaraderie between that team.
Yeah.
And because we don't get all that, we miss out on insight and commentary. And to me, that just improves the race weekend. It gets you steeped in the drama. And, you know, at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, an hour less of broadcast time is an impact.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think especially because if you want to make a point, you know, if you're Martin Brundle and you want to make a point that's longer than a sentence, you don't get that during the race, right? Because, you know, other stuff's happening. Somebody's going to cut you off. Some other thing's going to happen. So if you're trying to explain something like, I don't know, what is DRS, or, you know, like, you know what I mean? Something that you can't just like explain in a sentence. Why, you know, why is this important? Or why do we talk about this? Or why do we care about this? Right. Then you need, that's what you get in practice from a commentator, because they're going to let somebody like Martin Brundle, like, talk uninterrupted for, you know, a minute and a half, which never happens during the race. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that especially for an Anorak, that's really where you gain that information, because you're not going to get it during the race, because again, Crofty's going to interrupt you every 5 seconds because something's going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's like when Paul DeRosa or Ant Davidson, you know, talk about, you know, share a story, you know, about a technology or something that happened at a team, or you know, some sort of anecdotal tale that applies to what we're seeing on track now, or maybe when there's a little controversy, they spend a little more time. They talk about, they'll have Ted Kravitz on, and he'll talk about, it's just a chance for you to get enveloped in the Formula One world, and taking an hour of that away, you know, I get it, but at the end of the day, I'm getting screwed out of an hour of F1 coverage, you know, and that sucks in my view. Now, I'm one of those people, and maybe I'm an anomaly, but I'm one of those people that watched FP1, FP2, FP3 qualifying in the race. Maybe many of you don't. Maybe you just watch qualifying in the race, and that's enough for you, and that's cool. I get that. But being the absolute anorak that I am about Formula One, I like watching all of it.
I think that a solution would be for F1 to put more of this on their streaming channel, right?
Yeah. See,
provide more information there.
Yeah, except they'd have to pay Sky for all their content,
or somebody,
sure
right?
But
I'm sure they don't.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I get it. Maybe ESPN, you know, doesn't have the broadcast space to run that much F1, but gosh, F1 TV does.
Right. I was going to say, right, because that's all they show, right? NBA has a channel and the NFL has a channel. What does the NBA show? Just classic races, classic games all the time, right? So, like, there's space for them to put more content for people. I mean, even back in the days of, like, Speed Vision, they used to put extra, you know, Steve would have his Chalk Talks, or, like, they'd put the extra content on their website. So you could put content on your streaming service. Formula One, and that might be a selling point, because I can watch the races on ESPN. Why would I buy your streaming service, right? So,
well, that's been my argument, and I apologize for our global listeners, but here in America, we watch ESPN, which is just bouncing the Sky broadcast, and fair enough,
right?
But that's all the F1 TV apps doing too. Now, you get the onboards, and you get, you know, some other stuff, and that's all cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's basically Sky's broadcast. So in Sky, in their defense, they do a really good job of it. And I was hoping that F1 TV would carry all of Sky's with Ted's Notebook and everything that they do, that I think is a terrific job at what they do. And so I was hoping they would do that. And if they didn't do that, I was hoping that Jason and Will and the team over at F1 TV would be generating a lot of content around their broadcast for the rest of the balance of the weekend. I know Will did sort of the Twitter feed thing where he has his desk and he interviews and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like they've got this vehicle and platform Why not create content and put it on there? And that will make more people compelled to buy the package.
Right. And especially because here, if you only watch what ESPN broadcasts, they just cut it, right? Like if it's supposed to be 2 hours and it runs late and it's like, and I don't know, Danny Ricciardo wins the off. Right. Yeah. Like you're like, whoa, right. Like they just cut things out. And if the ceremony, you don't get the ceremony sometimes, right. Like afterwards. And so, let alone any of the interviews or anything like that. So, I don't understand. I really don't understand what their streaming services, what are you doing over there? Right. This isn't that hard. Lots of, I always joke like, well, I don't know, look at MotoGP, but like, when like World Superbikes has they don't have a streaming, but on their website has a better content that you can buy than what you have as Formula One. This isn't rocket science. Go hire somebody from Netflix, do the Flavio Briatore and just hire somebody else's engineer and get your shit together. Right. Like, what are you waiting for? Liberty Media, right? Like, isn't this what you do for a living?
Right. And they even bought Formula One because the platform is negligible. It's all about content.
Right. So what are you doing?
They aren't coming out with prolific amounts of content for that platform. And it boggles my mind 3 years into this that they haven't done that. I don't know why.
What I'd want to see
is I would imagine, but
I know, right? But we all joke about how like Drive to Survive isn't like really F1, or right? Like it isn't the Anorak F1, right? It's the soap opera, which is absolutely a part of it, and it's the narrative and the joy of Formula One, but it's not like racing, right? It's not like Steve Matchett Formula One, right? So why wouldn't you do like something, not Drive to Survive, but you could have that counterbalance, like I'll use the word fluffy, right? Like Drive to Survive is too fluffy for you. So why don't you watch our content over here, which is really nerdy and is like, we got, winglet drawings and we're comparing from race to race and like all the stuff that you have to get, off of websites or out of magazines, because why aren't you carrying that? Ultimately, why are we afraid? I guess this is always the thing. Why are we afraid about talking about the cars? It's racing, right? Like, I don't know. Do you watch the Kentucky Derby? All they do is talk about the horses for like 3 hours, and then you have a 10-minute race. It's not even 10 minutes. It's like a minute and a half race.
Right.
But we spent a lot of time talking about horses, right? Like talk about the cars. Like there's all this space you could have that Anorak kind of content that you don't think the general masses want. The Drive to Survive crowd, they don't want that. But we do. Somebody does, because that's why we watch this. And so,
the hardened fans do. And they always have the F1 say, well, we've just done a really poor job explaining how awesome the hybrid power unit is.
Well, here's your chance.
There's your chance. You've got your own TV channel. Yeah, just unpack it. Work with one of the teams and really dive into it and talk about it and big it up, I don't know. And maybe this next story kind of speaks to what we're talking about. F1's new CEO taking the place of Chase Carey's Stefano Domenicali.
I want to know if he's going to grow the facial hair, right?
Could you imagine Stefano?
No, I couldn't, because he's never had any facial hair, right? Like he always keeps his hair really tight.
Yeah, that'd be good for him.
I think that'd be a good look.
Well, he says that they're trying to make F1 attractive to car makers who want to feel young. Now, here is what he said. He said, the good news is that there are people and companies, very important companies, that are really keen to understand what is the value that they can bring home using the F1 platform. He told this to Sky Sports. But not only in terms of technology, also in terms of what the value Formula One can bring to the automotive manufacturer. I think one of the biggest challenges that automotive manufacturers have today is to feel younger. There is this kind of fight between the older school of OEMs and the new OEMs that are coming in the mobility side. We are for sure not part of the mobility side in terms of what we want to achieve as a sport. But I think that the OEMs can use the F1 platform for that fresh image that they maybe need for the future for them. End quote.
Okay.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the new Bartesian Duet Home Cocktail Maker. The new Bartesian Duet, Bartesian's most compact cocktail maker, crafts premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Duet cocktail maker. And now, get our best deal ever on the new Bartesian Duet, plus free shipping when you go to bartesian.com/cocktail. Entertaining? The Bartesian Duet is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. And now, get our best deal ever on the new Bartesian Duet, plus free shipping when you go to bartesian.com/cocktail. Hurry, offer ends soon. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail. Bartesian.com/cocktail.
Stroll with his hair, right? He needs the fan, right, to just blow through the hair, right? Or like Carlos Sainz, right? The young guy with the hair, right? Get some fans going, right? We're young, we're hip. Look,
Feeling young.
Look at how great our hair
I feel
is.
younger.
What is this? This is.
Yeah. Well, it's all tied to the whole FIA mobility thing, and I get it, and I understand what he's saying. But
what is
But here's the thing. Well, let me go on.
Okay.
All right. Stefano also said that new platforms are important as well in order to attract the Wiens. You like that?
The Wiens. Yeah, that's exactly.
That's Irish in there.
A direct quote from the Italian, right?
Yeah.
The Wiens.
The Wiens. That's for all our Irish listeners. So anyway, he said this, quote, "Maybe in the beginning, the media that are showing F1 on TV were a little bit reluctant of products like Netflix, like we did in the last years. But then at the end of the day, that was beneficial to both because one was activating better on the other side. So I think we need to have this holistic approach to make sure we don't lose opportunities. The young generation are multi-connected. We need to offer a multi-program to be quite spot on in terms of intensity. If we are boring in our offering, then people are switching off and changing not only the channel, but the subject. We're thinking of how to keep the racing format alive in a different way because, of course, it's important to have the opinion of the teams, but also the opinions of the stakeholders. We're going to have dedicated meetings to prepare the right offering. We need to be sure that we don't lose any opportunity," end quote. Now, this maybe speaks a little bit of what we were saying before, having the right offering.
So this is the thing. I mean, you have like a whole bunch of notes here, but I'm interrupting those notes for my notes, which is, I get it. Of course, you want everything, everything is like your 7-screen experience. I get that. But you have to have your one experience nailed down before you can start working into these like 18 other, because nobody's going to watch your 18-screen experience if they all suck.
Right.
Right. So why don't you work on producing one good screen experience and then leave the other screens? You'll get there, because I really think if you have your TV screen 1 watching good quality racing without gimmicks, right? And then you can have your laptop screen 2 and you have live timing and scoring, and maybe your phone and that's screen 3 and that's your Twitter feed. Now you see how I would watch the races. That's good. That's what we need, right? And so maybe if you have F1 TV, right, you watch the onboards or something like that. But ultimately, your base product, your racing has to be good. It doesn't matter how many screen experiences you have if your base product sucks. If screen 1 isn't any good, who cares?
Right. No, you're talking about 3 screen. I mean, 3 of crap is still crap.
Correct, right? So make one good screen and then worry about the other ones. Right. More screens isn't what you're missing. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to me that they're defaulting. And I know there was conversations about possibly F1 looking at moving the whole broadcast over to Amazon or Netflix or who knows, whatever they're talking about. And, and I think Liberty was saying, I remember when John Malone bought Formula One, I was watching an interview, and I don't know if it was CNBC or somebody like that, but I was watching this interview with him, and he was saying, that the platforms are ubiquitous. It used to be it was a race to build this platform, but now the platforms are meaningless. It's really the content. Yeah. And so if that's the case, building this massive platform for F1 TV may or may not be what he wants to do, yet focus on content and just park it on Netflix, Amazon, whatever it might be, maybe Amazon. So maybe that's what they're talking about, is having these meetings to find out what their offering is and what they're doing. I go back to what you said. It's all about the content.
Right.
And if your content is great, then a single screen experience is great. And you can build from there. But this issue of the weigh-ins and this whole thing about TV and they're tuning off, and we kind of went through this when Bernie was sort of being unwound from Formula One, and he wasn't the hip social media star, and Lewis got into social media and built a big brand for himself, and Formula One was just in the nascent days of that. And it was all about, oh my gosh, how are we going to capture the imagination of the millennials? How are we going to, really bring them into the sport and appeal to the youngsters and those kind of things? And, here we are this time later, and it's not so much about millennials. I'm not marginalizing them. They're a prime, demographic for them. But now they're talking about getting young people like Gen Z involved. And I got to thinking about when I was reading this. Now, I could be way, way off target because I'm not the target audience for these comments, obviously. But I look at it from another perspective. When I was young, regardless of the technology, but when I was young, F1 taught me the awesomeness of their series. And I got intrigued and embroiled in the politics, the personalities, the inter and intra-team battles, the circuits, the racing and competition and close championships. Oh, and the sound at the time. That's what drew me in to the sport. The sport didn't reimagine itself. I know, in the last 10 years or 5 years, it's dining reimagined. We've reimagined how boots could be, everybody's reimagining something on how to make a buck, basically. But the sport didn't reimagine itself for me. It took me to the sport. The sport didn't, dumb itself down for me, right? And that was the difference. And it sucked me in. The series didn't change to package F1 for me. It brought me along with it. And I wonder if we're trying too hard to make F1 something like a Twitch broadcast of an F1 game, instead of taking the time and investment, like you said, with content on their platform to help young fans get into their world. I said this when the USGP was announced that it was coming to Austin, and you and I talked on that podcast, and I said at the time that they should focus, not everyone was saying, hey, we're bringing F1 to America, America style. No. I said, no. It's not a case of bringing F1 to America. It's a case of taking America to F1. And there is a big, big difference. And I think the same rules apply for viewers. And I think, how is it that they snared me at a really young age into the world of Formula One and captured my imagination and brought me into their world, not the other way around? And I don't know. Does that make sense?
I think it does. And I think what I always think is the problem is that people want to say things like, people these days don't have an attention span.
Yeah.
No, they have an attention span, because if that was true, why would anybody watch football, right? Or read a book, right? People still read 200-page books, right? So that's not true. The problem is that, yes, you have to edit. You have to be editorial, right? You have to cut off the fat. You have to...
The curator.
Right, So yes, there's editing, all ways that you can do to your product, your film or whatever. There's always things you can edit, but it's not that people don't have a long enough attention span for something, that they need to be over here on this thing and doing this thing and doing this thing and doing this thing. And all these things are Formula One, but they're different things. No, they'll do one thing for an hour and a half or 2 hours if it's quality and they want to do it. People do it all the time, right? So I think people just want to, they've bought into this idea that people want to be multitasking. Again, I would argue you really just need your TV, live timing and scoring, maybe Twitter, because I think that's interesting, right? Like, because then that's part of how I interact with my community. But, any of those, and you really don't need live timing and scoring if Crofty would tell you things, but he doesn't. So you need live timing and scoring. Well, he often tells you things that are wrong. But then you have to be able to know who's pitted in that kind of stuff, which you can't tell from, the AWS graphics because they're, useless as well. You don't need all this other stuff because if you have quality, people will watch it. And so stop making, people in their attention spans. People do deep dives all the time. If that was, magazines wouldn't exist, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I read The Atlantic. It has like 12-page articles in it, or I don't know. People do deep dives on stories all the time. I'm just getting at this idea that, like, I just think Formula One, the FIA has bought into this notion that what the kids are doing now, and we need to be like the kids. That has never changed, right? Like, of course, you should always be editing and looking for change and looking for ways to make your sport better and looking for new ideas. Absolutely, should always be innovating, but don't get sucked into this, like, the kids are into these. I realize, again, I'm making hand motions that nobody that's listening to this can see, but I hope my voice also conveys that, like, the kids are doing these things over here with the who's what's it's and the thingamabobs. No, just have racing and that'll be fine. People watch baseball, they'll watch auto racing, right? Like,
right. You're either in or you're out.
Right.
I mean, you're either a baseball fan or you're not.
Or you go for your friends and some beer. Right.
You're either a racing fan or you're not.
Right.
We had a 24-hour race this weekend. And by the way, Paul's team finished in top 5. So
they sure did.
Congratulations to the Heart of Racing Aston Martin, number 23. I watched a lot of that race. That's 24 freaking hours, right? I wasn't the only one. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter and their little pictures and stuff. They're not old gray hairs. A lot of these were young people watching, and I saw both men and women watching, and they were having a great time watching. I mean, that it's a great series, multi-class racing, just like Le Mans and the GT series, stuff like that. But it's great multi-class racing. The Lee Diffie and the entire crew did a great job calling it, and it was just a really good race. After 24 hours. You could throw a blanket over the top 3 DPI cars. It was that close, right? So it's just great, fun. MotoGP, same thing. And I just don't know that F1 has to reinvent itself in order to appeal to young people. I think it needs to revisit itself and make the right moves to make better racing. This hybrid, this aero. The elephant is in the room. I've been staring at this damned elephant in this room for 10 years now.
Right.
And I'm a fan at home. And it's been an impact on the sport. They've got to do something to make it affordable, great racing, and that's what they got to focus on. But again, I still feel like you said, you could edit your product, you can package it, the way you market it to young people, the kinds of content that you can teach your way to success with, right? Using the TV, F1 TV platform for younger people that are new to Formula One to get into the series, understand why the technology is cool, understand the politics, understand those kind of things. And I think there's lots of ways. And I always think, gosh, if I had access to that and I was working for F1, the amount of content and the programs that I would want to do to bring people into the sport would be a ton.
And it wouldn't, I think that this is what old people, myself included, old people say about young people, right? Like, oh, the young kids want these things. The young kids don't want those things. You're old. We're old. They don't want those things, right? So focus on that. And then I think there's so many missed opportunities. Like, I think MotoGP, before COVID, right, they would always show when the riders, the top 3 would all be in the back of, whatever vehicle together. And it was fascinating, the things that they would talk about, because you would really get this in-depth information. It was interesting to see, Mark Marquez talking, like they would just all this tech stuff, like, oh, and then we did this. And in the length of riding to the podium, right? Like that was really informative. That doesn't cost anybody anything. You just put a GoPro in the back seat, right? Like, so there's all these moments of interesting things that they could be doing that would inform all of us, but stop chasing the young thing, right? Like that's what I just feel like that's what old people grasp at. Just focus on your product.
At the end of the day, you're chasing an invisible thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Stop it. You have a physical asset.
Right.
Use it.
Right.
Stop chasing this invisible thing that you think may or may not be out there. It's just it doesn't make any sense. You have a physical asset that can produce a fabulous product, and you need to do that. And I don't know. Hopefully they'll come up with something and they don't, go a bridge too far.
Or at least Stefano.
And hey, if all the wheels fall off and you can't think of anything, just grow that mustache that Chase Carey had, and then Stefano is right there with everyone else.
That's right. Maybe he'll just show up that way. I just show up at the first race like that.
Right.
And see how long before somebody goes, did you change your look?
He'd grow that mustache and tell everybody in the paddock that I'm coming and hell's coming with him.
Yeah, either that or like grow out some pandemic hair, right? Like, because again, he always, when he was with Ferrari, always kept his hair, really, really tight, right?
Imagine
like
Stefano with pandemic hair.
Just let it go, man.
Oh boy! All right.
Be the new you, right? It's pandemic life. Be who you want to be.
You do you.
Wear
Stefano.
sweatpants. Who cares?
That would be awesome if Stefano showed up every weekend in the paddock wearing an Adidas tracksuit.
I was going to say,
that would be awesome.
Nike actually makes a sweatpants suit. So, I mean, you could do this. You could do this.
There you go.
Because I think that's going to revolutionize my wardrobe, because this is totally a random aside, but that's what the off season's all about. So I started a new job in August, right? And I'm 100% telework, as are my coworkers. So it's only been like this. So I was joking that I don't know how tall anybody is, because we've all been seated in Zoom calls. But I feel like my first day in person, I should wear like the biggest ball gown or something, like, and I've arrived, and this is how I dress every day for work. Right? All you've seen me is in like t-shirts and sweats, right? Like, so I just want to like arrive like, Glenda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz, like, and I'm here now.
I know.
Let us work together.
It's like, how many flannels do you have? Hey, I live in the Midwest. It's cold. It's what we do. Yeah, I have a lot of them, but I kind of cycle through. And I remember when it first started, I just having internal meetings with colleagues, and I'd show up wearing my hat, and they're like, "Oh, nice hat." And I was like,
Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Common Threads are helping schools across the country learn about healthier food preparation. In Atlanta, they're joined by The Dream and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Visit anthem.com/dream to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc.
Dan Mancini from Mama Mancini's. My grandmother cherished the family meal. It was a time to relax and enjoy a delicious, wholesome dinner together. It's our mission to deliver authentic Italian recipes made with the same real ingredients my grandmother used. Mama Mancini's classic Italian meatballs and slow-cooked sauce is available in the deli department at your local Publix and supermarkets across the country. Fully cooked and ready to serve, just heat and eat. Visit MamaMancinis.com to find the closest store near you.
Does it offend? I mean, do you want me to take the hat off? I mean, what does that make a difference? Do you just feel like what we're going to produce and discuss is not effective because I'm wearing a hat? And if I wasn't wearing a hat, I might have better opinions or ideas? I don't know. Let me know.
I don't know. I mean, literally, people, my boss is in his basement because he has 2 kids upstairs that are, doing virtual school. So we all joke that it's like him and his hot water heater is his Zoom background. Like,
I had a presentation today with a vice president of one of the world's largest investment companies, $1 trillion company, right? And so I was talking to him, really delightful guy, and I was talking to him about our products and stuff, and it was pretty funny because he was cutting in and out a little bit, and he didn't have his video on because he lived upstate, and it was just pounding in them with snow, and all the kids were home, and he said, Yeah, I apologize for the bandwidth, but my wife's home, I'm home, all of our kids are home, and we're all on the internet, and our bandwidth is very limited. So that's why I'm not turning the camera on, and totally understandable. And you could hear his kids bounce around. And it was so funny because it was like, that was great. It was charming because here's a guy who's a captain of industry and a vice president of $1 trillion company, and it was amazing to hear that in the background. It's kind of funny.
It's just all of us. Right? I think that's become the great equalizer of the pandemic. Yeah. But yeah, like I was in training today and I had Ziggy on my lap and Mikasa comes flying into my office, expecting not a cat on my lap, and like jumps onto my lap as well. And so now I'm trying to like listen. And of course we all have our cameras on because I've been a trainer. It's really hard when you're doing something like this and you can't see anybody. You just see black screens and right. So I'm trying to like give good affect and like, oh yeah, that's a good point. No, I've had that experience, right? Because I know what that's like. And now I'm like juggling two cats, like
yeah.
Like I swear.
Yeah, that's great.
Right?
I'd love to see the Zoom video call between Toto and Lewis in the contract negotiation.
Oh my God, Toto woof. Yes.
Woof. That would be great.
Like, this is Roscoe, right? Like, maybe they FaceTime each other and he just turns the camera so it looks like Roscoe's talking to Toto. That would be great, right?
Toto would be like, there's Susie. There's my son.
Right. Yeah. Right. I just imagine that's a short phone call. Hey, Lewis, did you see what I sent you over? Did you change your mind? No? All right, we'll try again tomorrow. Have a nice day. I don't know, right?
Who knows? All
right. I can't believe there's still not a deal. Whatever.
I know. It's funny. I was went to like the website over at the Express. I don't know how many stories they can write about the Lewis Hamilton contract with no news about the Lewis Hamilton contract. They've quoted Jan Lammers, Eddie Jordan. They've quoted, everybody, and they've run the gambit of permutations of the Lewis Hamilton contract story. Just about every angle you could come at it at. And it's like, you're just making a meal out of this thing. There's no announcement.
Yes, we got nothing. We ran out of content on this like 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit in still no contract. Let's talk about that for 20 minutes.
I don't know.
So, hey, I have a better story, though.
Okay.
This is a feel-good story. So, this young driver named Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yes.
He began his love affair with the Tifosi. You might know that Carlos got a chance to drive his first Ferrari F1 car as a Ferrari driver at Fiorano last week. He was driving their 2018 car. And there were fans who camped out along the track to watch him make his first runs. After he was done, get this, he jumped into a fire truck and drove around to where all the fans are, jumped out, and went over to talk to him. And here's what he said. There were two banners, he said. There was a banner, Vamos Carlos, and a Smooth Operator banner. So people here in Italy and the Tifosi already know my name and my preferences in terms of names. So that's a good start. At the end of the day, I had a chance to go and say hello to them. I got the car and I went to say thanks to them for being there, supporting me on a very special day, and sharing with them a bit the passion and what a special day it was for me, end quote. And I thought that's a really great moment for the fans. And the fans, they quoted some of the fans. They were just completely stunned.
Right.
And here they are. They watch, Carlos go around, and then he pits, and then all of a sudden, a little while later, here comes a fire truck, and it pulls up, stops, and Carlos jumps out.
Right.
They're like, whoa! And so he went over and spent time. And it's a great way to begin your stint at Ferrari. And if you were ever trying to put your mark on the Tifosi and try to knock Charles Leclerc's feet off the desk, this is a really good start.
That's right.
Yep.
Get him on your side.
Get the Tifosi on your side.
But I also just think that's how he is, right? Like, I just think that's, right? So, but that was great. I'm going to hold on to all of these heartwarming Carlos Sainz stories because I'm a little afraid of what's going to happen at race 1 with Ferrari. So, it's a little hard.
It's like when you love Kimi and you went over there. That was tough for you.
It was hard. It was hard.
Because you're not a Ferrari fan. And now your boy Carlos over at Ferrari. Are you going to cheer for Ferrari?
No, I'm just cheering for Carlos. And that, much like young driver Fernando Alonso, if it goes south, you can always go back to McLaren.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And then leave.
That's right. And go to Renault or whatever. Go back to Renault, right? Like, just keep following him.
Yeah. That's how Fred does it. So, okay. Next up in the news, Vettel's new haircut.
Yeah.
Where to start? Okay, so Aston Martin released some pictures of Seb sitting in the car.
Yeah, I saw the video, right? Like,
yeah, I saw the video of it too.
Right.
Yep. So he had a video, and then he had several stills from that video that they released. And he has cut his hair really short. And when he cut his hair really short, it obviously reveals that he has a receding hairline.
Okay, first of all, with his long hair, he wasn't kidding anybody. Okay?
No.
We know. We knew. So come on home.
He just had the hair long and on top, and but you could see it had thinning
a little
hairline.
thinner.
Yeah. So it was instantly met in social media as a complete object of much jest. I think
it was shock. I think that
a
lot of is that we saw it's like, okay, so I'm going to take the previous story about Dominicali and go like, we know what he looks like, right? We know what he looks like from his Fridays. We saw him at the end of the season. If he suddenly showed up with a Chase Carey mustache, that would be a little talk on Twitter, because last time we saw you did not have the Chase Carey mustache.
Right.
So I do think some part of it is the last time we saw you,
he wasn't bald.
You had the comb over thinning hair thing going, and now you have a bald spot and you look like Prince,
Prince William.
Yeah, I was going to say Prince Charles. Yeah. That's not the right person at all. Right?
Definitely
Family,
not.
wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So.
Right. So he
was shocked.
Yeah. So everybody, then it was a heyday, right? Now.
Well,
I got to tell you, as a man who has been bald most of his life, I find the line of derision a little baffling. Because in a world ripe with causes, oppression, and sensitivities, it would seem that bald men are the one category left that everyone seems perfectly fine and perfectly safe in denigrating.
Chicken legs. You forgot men with chicken legs.
Yeah, that's right. Chicken legs and bald. That's right.
Those are the two things that men are sensitive about, always, universally. Thinning hairlines and chicken legs.
But everyone in the world feels completely safe on denigrating bald men.
I guess. I don't know.
It's amazing, that's still a thing. Now, I got to be honest with you. I've been this way for forever, and it's never bothered me in the least. And I mean, the money I save over a lifetime just in haircuts and shampoo alone is enough to send my daughter to college. So it doesn't bother me. It's never bothered me. I guess. I know some guys that it does. I'm 6'3", and it's just never a topic of conversation. Now, I've known some guys that were a lot shorter. Maybe that kind of bothered them a little bit. I get it. I understand that. But I don't recall anyone talking about Gerhard Berger or Robert Kubica.
It's the suddenness. That's what I'm saying. It's not like Robert Kubica had hair and then didn't have hair, right? Dominicali didn't have a mustache. Now he looks like Chase Carey, right? It's the suddenness of the haircut is some of it too.
It was a bit of a shock.
If you just kind of let it slowly run its natural course, I don't think anybody would have said anything. Right?
I think maybe
Vettel green. Whoa, he has no hair, right?
Whoa, he's bald.
Right.
So I think if he had got that wall trimmer number 5 instead of the number 2, I think maybe it would have been less of a shock.
I just think that I think everybody's so excited. I mean, right. I think when we talked a couple podcasts ago with Paul, I want Vettel to succeed at, I am F1, AF1, whatever their slogan is now, their hashtag that makes no sense. But I want him to do really well, because I think this is, his opportunity, and this is his legacy, right? Will he be Michael Schumacher at Ferrari or Michael Schumacher at Mercedes? This is what we're waiting for. We want Vettel to be successful. And so I just think everybody's so excited. And then it's because the other thing too is in the clip, it's Vettel's doing this, Vettel's hairline cut to black, right? It's just so what just happened here?
Well, it's Here's the thing, I congratulate him because I've never been one of those guys that just shaved off all my hair when I started losing hair, to really throw people off the scent, like I'm Joe Satriani or The Rock, you just shave your head and I'm not bald, I'm just hardcore, and all that. Wear it, own it. And that's what I like about it. Suck it up, own it and wear it. And I say, good to you, Seb. Now you join me and Sterling Moss in the low drag, built for speed look, and I'm all about it.
I mean, as long as your head isn't shaped like Lawrence Barretto's, shave it, right? But if that's what you want to do, then you save even more on shampoo.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. Yeah, but you gotta go shave. Yeah.
I don't know what his head shape is like. I mean, that makes all the difference, but.
He looks like Prince William, though. That's true.
He sure does.
Somebody said that.
But I think too the thing is like with a mask and a hat, everybody looks the same now. Like I don't know, that could be Ted Kravitz. Who knows, right? Like I don't know.
You know what is, and other bald guys out there will know what I'm talking about. But when you're bald, and you meet people, and they say, "Oh, you remind me of," and they search their brain for the first bald celebrity they can think of. It's just whatever bald celebrity they can think of.
Mr. Clinton.
Yeah, you remind me. I don't look a damn thing like that person. And they're like, oh no, yeah, you look like Phil Collins. I don't look anything like Phil Collins. The guy's like 4'11".
That would be great. I want to know the person that thinks you look like Phil Collins.
Yeah. And then who is? Oh gosh, the name just flew out of my head.
Because no part of you looks like Phil Collins.
What was the guy in What About Mary or Something About Mary, whatever that was? The guy, David Letterman, the guy under the seats.
Paul
Chris.
No, who are you talking about?
It's driving me nuts now. Mm-hmm. So I say, oh, well, you look like that guy, or whatever. Insert random bald celebrity, and that's who you look like. It's kind of funny. So there you go. You see Seb, Prince William. So there you go.
I mean, he does have Prince William's hairline, right? Unlike you, do not look like Phil Collins.
No
way, right? No. I mean, they do have a similar hairline. I will give people.
Yeah. But he doesn't look like Prince William. He just has a similar hairline.
No, but I think if you threw a mask on both of them, who knows, right? They just
but that's what I'm saying. It's always insert random bald celebrity. That's who you look like. It is like not really.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, all right. What am I going to talk about now? Oh, I'm going to talk about this. This is fun. Former F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone bought his old pal Flavio Briatore's Force Blue yacht when it went up for auction. You might recall, those of you that have been watching Formula One a while, you might recall seeing Force Blue parked in Monaco, right? And
sure.
The harbor there. This was Flavio's massive yacht. Bernie just bought that. Now that yacht is valued at 17.5 million pounds. It went to auction. Bernie picked it up for a cool 6.6 million pounds. And Flavio originally paid close to 70 million pounds for that boat.
So is Flavio on hard times? Why is he selling it?
Because he was convicted of failure to pay VAT and taxes. Ooh. And fuel charges or something on the boat. Yeah, and the bank repoed it, I think. And then the bank was trying to make a business out of it and floating people around the Mediterranean. That didn't work out, so now they put it up to auction. And the 90-year-old Bernie Ecclestone swoops in and buys his buddy's yacht. Now, he and Flavio are close. Flavio loses his prized boat, and then Bernie waits for it to go up for auction in receivership and then on auction, and buys his buddy's boat for a tenth of what Flavio paid it.
So I'm going to insert something that I also saw this week that was equally petty and salty. There was a picture of Pierre Gasly. I should have sent this to you. This would have made great fashion, right? So it's Pierre Gasly, people, Esteban Ocon. So when you see the picture on Ocon's timeline, it's Ocon, people, end of picture. And when you see it on Gasly's timeline, it's Gasly, people, end of picture. They cut each other out of the same picture of like six people. It's great. It was a great salty ass moment between French drivers. And
that's hilarious.
It was great because then, of course,
bending the photo and cutting out your ex.
Right. Except your ex also posted the same photo at the same time, right? Because you're at the same events. And so, funny. Of course, somebody put it in Twitter, and the two pictures are next to each other, and you're like, right, that guy and lady are in that picture, and they're in this picture, but nobody else on either side of that picture is in each other's picture.
That's great.
That was great.
Oh, that's funny. Well, it's it's a lot of money, folks.
Wow.
It happens to be the 78th largest yacht in the world. Wow. And it's going to make a nice boat for Bernie's 1-year-old son, Ace. Yes, he's 90, and he just fathered a son last year.
That's crazy.
Ace Ecclestone is a year old. Bernie is 90, old enough to be his great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And speaking of Flavio, Grace, I know you were wondering.
I was.
What's up with Flavio and the Mankini, right?
I wasn't worried about the Mankini.
Okay.
Flavio, yes, but not the Mankini.
Okay, so Flavio, you might remember last fall he was rushed to the hospital in August because he had COVID.
Right.
But apparently he's doing well now. He still owns the elite entertainment and hospitality giant called Billionaire Life. Now you say, now what is that? What's Billionaire Life? Well, this is Flavio's company, and here's what they say about themselves. Quote, the Billionaire Life portfolio encompasses 21 years of Flavio Briatore's work and passion. To unlock its full potential in 2013, he partnered with Bay Capital. The result is a Billionaire Life platform ideally positioned to help realize new standards in the highest level of service and hospitality. The formula of Billionaire Life is a careful blend of extremely high management standards and the clear understanding by luxury services of food and beverage.
So what do they do?
So what the heck is that? So you're a catering business.
I was just going to say, right, you own a hotel? What is this?
Yeah. So, mime is money. So
that was a lot of work. Remember earlier when we were talking about how you should edit and innovate? This would be a good place for that.
This would be a great place for edit.
So, you're right. It's Shark Tank, right? And he presents all this and you go, so you're a catering business.
So you're catering. No. No, we
billionaire lifestyle.
We understand luxury services in food and beverage. So you're a caterer. Right. No, it's a life platform positioned to realize standards in the highest level of service hospitality. So you're a catering company. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So there you go. That's what Flavio's up to.
Well, good luck.
Oh, hey, before I get into this week's fun and random fact, tell us about this new sport called Extreme E.
Okay, so I know not everybody on this channel is particularly into the whole electric vehicle thing, right? So I'm just putting that out there. Although when I mentioned this to Todd, he at least said, well, at least it wasn't sim racing. So I guess there is, right, at least some middle ground we can talk about.
But it is electric.
All right, so nonetheless, so Extreme E is they're basically electric SUVs, real life, real cars, not sim, not not Twitch streaming, right? These are
real people in real vehicles.
Correct. So Lewis Hamilton has a team, Nico Rosberg has a team, Jensen Button has a team. There's 10 teams, and so Carlos Sainz Sr. is one of the drivers, and so all the teams. That's one of the things is that you have to have a male and a female driver, and they switch. So they do one circuit of these courses with the guy driving, then the female driver drives, so that they both. It's not just like a driver and a co-driver, right? They both do both jobs. They have 5 races in extreme places, right? Like the desert of Saudi Arabia and the iciness of Greenland. And so they're doing these 5 races. But all of that was interesting enough. And me, I do love me some rally, and I do love the whole Sainz family, right? I embrace, not just Carlos Jr. So I was in. And then I recently learned that Lewis Hamilton signed that, you might remember that young guy, big talent. He was really going to go far in the world of WRC, Sebastian Loeb. So now Sebastian Loeb, in addition to Carlos Sainz Sr., is doing Extreme E. And I was like,
that's brilliant.
Well, now I really have to pay attention because Lewis Hamilton literally signed the biggest name in rallying. And
he's like one of the best just race car drivers in the planet. Period.
Right. Like, and so if only they could get Petter Solberg involved, then I'd really be in on this. So, but the whole thing is that, it's supposed to be environmentally friendly, and like the transportation between races and all these sort of things, and the racing itself. They do the qualifying, and you lose teams, and they have to do a crazy race to get into the race, and it was more complicated than my brain was able to comprehend in one sitting. But
now, just to be clear, Lewis isn't driving. He hired Sebastian Loeb, and then they'll find a female driver. And then
they have a female driver.
Oh, they already have one. Okay. Right. And then, but JB is driving. Jenson Button is driving.
Yeah, and he doesn't have another driver yet. He doesn't have the female driver. And I also noticed, too, that if you go to their website, which, mind you, if this is what the young people are into, I'll never be able to use websites in about 20 years, right? Because I found their website really hard to how do I just find your schedule, right? I don't understand how your website works. It's also extreme, apparently. But Jenson Button is also wearing the Braun colors. It's kind of that off-white with the yellow, the fluorescent yellow lapel. I just feel it's I'm Jenson Button. You may remember me from Braun GP. Remember that? I'm that guy, right?
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't have another driver yet. But I just think that's funny too. That oh well, I guess Jenson couldn't find a driver, so he's doing it. But Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton signed Sebastian Loeb.
See, if Lewis can do that, somebody else has got to go find Yuri Matilapa.
Yeah,
get him in there.
Absolutely. So now I'm all in. This sounds really fun. So Extreme E, their first race is in April in Saudi Arabia. So you have some time, to get caught up, and I'll have to put it on my calendar, because otherwise, really, by April, will I remember this? No, but I'm in. I'm intrigued, and it should be fun. So
cool.
Sebastian Loeb, if you missed him, he's back.
He's back. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, it's time. That's right. It's time for this week's fun/random fact, the Slashy. That's what time it's for. And this week, I got this one, found this digging around on the interwebs. A while ago, a young man named Hans Heyer, he was a decent driver in his own right, but he was more experienced in sports cars than he was in F1. And so he signed up to drive for Germany's team ATS. And it was, first outing kind of in single-seater open wheel. And he entered the 1977 Grand Prix at Hockenheim. Now, he got out there, drove around a little bit, got into qualifying, and as all the teams went through qualifying, and when qualifying was over, Hans didn't make the cut for the race in qualifying. However, he said the hell with that. He decided to start the race anyway. And he did. And then he retired after 9 laps, and he was also disqualified. So Hans Heyer is the only man in F1 to hold a DNS, a DNF, and a DSQ for disqualified. How's that for history? It's weird F1-ness.
Yeah. So I found this also makes for great radio, right? But I found the tweet, which now I'm going to show you, which is really terrible too. But so then right here, they're at the same event, right? And there's, so much glare from my ring light. But there's Ocon, nice. Right? And then it's really because the lady's wearing this bright blue dress, so you can't miss that it's the same photo,
yeah, for sure.
Right? And then there's Gasly, and they just cut each other out of the photo.
That's so funny.
So it's genius. Yeah. I'm here for that. And again, if they were all just wearing black tuxes and ladies were just wearing, but that bright blue dress, you can't miss it. That's the same lady in both of those pictures.
Yeah, dead giveaway. Oh, that's funny.
They're not standing near each other.
Oh, boy. All right. Good stuff. That does it for this week's podcast. Be sure to stop by the website, theparcfermé.com, and share your opinion. Let's do it decorum and civility. Also, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters out there. We could not and would not do this podcast without you. So for those of you that are signed up and supporting us on a monthly basis on Patreon, you are the only reason this podcast exists. Everyone else who's not Patreon, please find one of those people and thank them for supporting us, because that's why we exist. So huge thank you to all of you for continued support, and especially in this year. It's much needed and much appreciated. Also, congratulations again to Paul and the Heart of Racing team, number 23 Aston Martin. Ian James and the team did a great job at Daytona. Next up, Sebring, the 12 hours. Be looking for that. And I guess that's really it until next week when we come back to do it all over again. This is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. I don't feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.
Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Common Threads are helping schools across the country learn about healthier food preparation. In Atlanta, they're joined by The Dream and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Visit anthem.com/dream to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code PLAY100. That's code PLAY100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.